routing, we are dealing client side. We have routing server side also. I explained that we have API routings and all. We will create one server side route also while designing a small application. We will see front end and back end how it works. So to use routing, actually React have a router library. React have a router library. So which you have to install explicitly for project. So React don't have routing directly available with React. So React routing library is a separate library you have to install for a project. So you need a separate library for routing. Right. So that is the concept here is React don't have inbuilt routing library. That is the reason if you want to use routing, you can implement this routing. And what is our React version? React up to 17 version, up to 17 uses router library version 5. V5 version 5 is the version. React 18 plus uses the router library version 6. Version 6. And the routing library from version 5 to version 6 completely changed. That means now version 6 is not a advanced. It is not a advanced of version 5. It is completely reconstructed. As I told you, material UI, the new version is not slightly improved from old. It is completely rebuilt. That is the reason when you see routing in React old projects, it's a complete different approach. That means complete change. Even the syntax and the components they provided also changed now. So currently we are using routing version 6, which is complete different from version 5. The way how you approach and configure the components that you use, they changed actually. That is the reason when you are using routing, you will find two syntaxes in your company projects. Means if they are using old version, a complete different. After we finish learning the current version, I will explain the old version syntax, how it is written. But the old version routing is not supported anymore in 18. React 18 will not support that. It will means not supporting means it's not recommended. We can still use it, but it will show bugs saying that this version is not compatible for your React. So we are going to use this version 6 library of React router. And important is you have to separately install React router library for project. So npm install React router DOM. This is the library you have to install. This is the library you need to install for routing. So that is router DOM library. And what we have to do is we are using routing. Actually, routing is managed by virtual DOM. Virtual DOM navigation will manage. In actual DOM, it should understand. That means you know how our React is working. So how our React is working is, so browser have a DOM, but our React is not using it. Our React is using what? So our React is using virtual DOM. Virtual DOM it is using. Then can you tell me in actual DOM who is responsible for handling navigation? In the actual DOM, which browser object is responsible for navigation? We have a JavaScript browser object called location. You know, JavaScript have 5 browser objects. What are those? Window, location, navigator, history, and document. 5 browser objects are present. Window, location, navigator, history, and document. So window object provides properties and methods for controlling browser window like open window, close window, print window. All activities are managed by window. Even alert, confirm, prompt, fetch, all these belongs to which object? Window. Even XML, HTTP, AJAX belongs to window object. Location object provides properties and methods for navigation. That means, you know, in JavaScript, you learned on button click how to navigate from one page to another. On a button click, how you will navigate from one page to another. JavaScript uses location.href. Location.href is used to navigate from one page to another. Dynamic navigation is managed by location href. You know, location object have so many properties. So actual navigation in DOM is managed by location. Now, whatever navigation you written in virtual DOM, it is not understandable to actual DOM. Then what you have to do is virtual DOM related complete navigation, you have to put in a component called browser router. You need a browser router component. You need a browser router component. What this component will do is it will translate the routes. It will translate the routes to actual DOM. That means make sure that all the routing related content is inside this area. If anything is outside this browser router, it cannot understand. That means all routing related configuration must be inside a component called browser router. What is the job of browser router is to translate the virtual routes into actual. That means it will convert the virtual routing into the actual DOM routings. So browser router is a component which makes the browser understand the routes. Otherwise, browser cannot understand. And make sure that everything related to routing you keep inside this browser router. So when you install this React Router DOM library, so you will get this component. All the routing must be inside this component. So routing client side is managed by following components. We have a browser router, we have routes, we have route, we have link, and we have an outlet. So these are important components. We have some hooks also. Routing is managed by some components and hooks. So those hooks, I will tell you what they are. First, we don't need them immediately. So routing client side is managed by using these components. So what is the browser router? It translates virtual virtual routes to actual DOM. And what routes will do? It creates a virtual route table. What is a route table? I explained in previous concept of component lifecycle. In component lifecycle, I told you that every application will have a route table. What is present in the route table? Route table contains information about what are the requests that your application can handle. That means what requests you can make, what responses it can send. That information is designed inside route table. That route table is created by using routes. And route, it configures individual routes. It configures individual routes. Link, so it creates an element that navigates to route path. It creates an element that navigates to route path. That is actually the outlet. It defines the target location to render uh, route element. Later you will see that what is that outlet. Outlet indicates where to render that requested content. So you requested some content, where to render it, you can decide by using outlet. So let's see how this routing works. So these are the components required for creating the routes. So here first what we will do is we will create some example. Let's open our project. So in the project, we will install the routing. So we will install the routing library. So the routing library, let's open the terminal and npm install react router dom. That is the library you have to install. If you are already working in some project, how do we know which version of routing they are using? If you are already working in a project, how do you know which version of routing they are using? Any library and its version we can know in package JSON. Package JSON is the file where you can find what are the dependencies installed and what are their versions. So you go to package JSON, you will see all the dependencies installed. These are all the dependencies, including Bootstrap, Bootstrap icon, Formic, which version, jQuery, which version, React, which version, Hook Forms, Yup library. So router DOM is 6 version. So we have a 5 version and 6 version. Actually, older version is complete different. The components, the configuration, everything is different. Everything changes. So 6 version, you have these new things. So what we will do now is here, first step, when you are creating the routes, we will do one thing. We have designed lot of components, carousel, class binding, clipboard, context, so many are there. So many components we designed here. Now, what we will do is, so we will create one portfolio like, just rough. Portfolio means we want to show anybody what we designed. That means he will stay on only one page and he can see every example that we created. That means user will stay on only one page and he can watch everything that we design. He can navigate from one component to another and he can see all one by one. Currently, as of now, if I ask like, show me your examples that you designed, then how you learnt all these days every day go to index and keep that component in the startup and show which component you designed, that component you keep in startup. It's not like that. Whenever application starts, we will start with one component and we will stay on that component and everything will come onto that component. Let's see how to design, how we can create that. So here I'm creating a simple portfolio like. Then let's create one example here. We have some pictures also. Okay, some images are there. Let's create one simple navigation. So what we will do is we will go to uh, index.js file in src index.js, and here we will start with a component called app. You know, app is the component which is by default added in your project whenever you create a project. Whenever you create project, by default, one component is present, app. So I'm starting with app. Okay. Let's see what is present in app. Actually, app is empty. It is having simply welcome to React. I will do one thing here. I will use container fluid. Okay. And here we will create a simple interface. So what we want to do is I will start npm start. Now it is going to start with this one. That means app component. Now this is the component where user will stay forever and everything should come here. So we need to define the complete routing here. So how to define routing? We have to make sure that everything related to route is present in a component called browser router. We need to use browser router. And this browser router is a component of React router DOM. So that is the component of React router DOM. Okay. After that, here inside the router, we will design the simple interface. So what I want, first we will plan the output here. So what I want is, um, I want to create a simple portfolio like suppose here, let's create a sample design here. So this is a portfolio like, so here your name, we want to give that your name here. Okay. And so here we will put some design like, so what is your profile? So we will keep here as I am say or simply React developer. So some option like React developer I am giving. Okay. Next here, right side, we will give some contact details. Contact, that means email and phone. We will give like that. So we will keep email, phone, and such options there. This is in the header. And what we will do is, this is in the header part. Huh? This is in the header part. Okay. Now, left side, we will create a simple navigation. In this navigation, we will define like about me. So, and here I defined as, so my skills. So just a simple portfolio like, and I will give as my projects. Okay, and here I will give as my resume like this. So now what happened here is actually these are separately designed about me. That means we have separate components. We will have separate components like about is one component, my skills is another component, my projects, already we have projects designed. Those projects will be in the form of components. And your resume, you can put a simple PDF link so that on click, the PDF file will download. You can put such links. Now, what should happen is when user clicks about me, where to display that information? When user clicks about me, where to display that information? Here, am I right? Here we need to display. That means we will plan this as nav bar We will plan this as main, and we plan this as what? Header. We will plan that as header. Header. So header and section. In the section, we have a nav and main. Okay, let's create this design. So currently it is empty, nothing is there. So here I will create a header. Make sure that everything is in browser router. Everything is defined inside the browser router. Okay. In the header, we are having three options. One div, suppose here my name, something, and a div. So I'm React developer, right? And in another one, here we will keep some contact. I will keep these are general links actually. Anchor href, mail to, so name at gmail.com. So my email at gmail.com, something like this I give it. Right. So this is one. Okay. Now you can see in the header part, we have this, right? We are having that. And what we do, suppose in the next line, we'll keep, okay, in the next line, I will keep another anchor href. So tell +91 some number. So here we have a mobile. Same, I will copy that and we keep here. So this is another telephone number. We are having that. So now what we will do for this header, I will keep deflex, justify content between. So we have one left, center, right. And we have padding 3. It will be like this. And we have a border and border 2. So some border is also applied for the header. So border dark. So we have, so border dark. Yeah, that is a simple one we are having. Margin top 2. So that is little above, done. Now I will keep here class as font size 2. That will be little large. And this is also class as font size 3. So that is this is the option we are having. Font weight bold. Okay. So this is one simple overview outline we define. Okay, next, you know that these links will automatically open the mail and phone apps. So you know how to create such link. Okay. After the header, now we need to create a section. Inside the section, we have two areas. One is nav area. Another one is main, nav and main. So we will make this section also as row. Now have class called 2 and main have class like called 10. 10. That is the adjustment here. And this is margin top as 2. Some gap. Now what we want here is left side, we want to create a navigation here. Now, how to create the navigation, I will tell you. We will design the navigation. But where to display all the content? All the content must be displayed in the main area. So, this main area contains the routes. It contains the routes. Routes is the collection of what are the requests you can handle and what are the responses you can send. And whatever response you want to send, that response will display here. That means the response for every request will be displayed in routes area. That means where you design the routes area, the output will come there. The response will come here. So in the routes, we have to mention what are the routes you want. According to this, what are the routes about me, my skills, my projects, like that. So we have to create a route, first route. So every route have a path. Path indicates how you are expecting request from the user. So if user is not requesting anything, he is not requesting anything. That means, for example, you see, you have Netflix. Netflix have index.html. Netflix have some payment.html. Netflix have some movies.html. Like this they have. Generally, how you open Netflix? www.netflix.com. Are you requesting any page? Are you requesting any page? You are not requesting any page. But by default, this index page will come. So that means if user is not requesting anything, by default, what should come? That we have to decide. Then you have to write like this, slash. Slash indicates what is the content I have to render if user is not requesting anything. If user is not requesting any specific, then what is the content you have to render? So what is the content you have to render? You have to tell that by using element. Element indicates which component you want to render. You can design a component and render here, or you can directly render some markup here. You can directly render some markup here. How? You just put a div and you just put a heading and you just say as my portfolio, portfolio, something like this. That means this is the path which opens automatically when user is not requesting anything. That means you see now automatically that comes here, my portfolio. So we want that here, call. Yeah. Now you can see here, it is going to display like that. So that means here, this is just a heading. That means this is just heading. Suppose I am giving like class name is dflex, justify content center, align items center. Everything I can design in that element only. I can design everything inside that element. Right. So I will give height, here style height as some 100 VH. That means it will display like this. So I'm giving oh, that is the height 100 VH. And here we will keep only one content there. That is fine. So this is how we are defining. The height is little bit adjusted for that. I will remove this one. I will just keep it in the center itself. We will keep the alignment later to the content. Okay. This is just only one element you are rendering. Now, what should happen is when user request, what are the requests user can make? About skills, projects, such requests user can make. So we will create another route. And this time the route path we are expecting as about. So then what we should render? We will render an element. As of now, every element I am rendering as direct markup. I will put here. In this, I will say about me. I'm just adding some heading. So I'm adding a heading about me and some paragraph. I am a React developer. So React developer. So that is just one simple point we define. Now you can see that currently it is showing my portfolio and all. And here in the URL, let's request what is the path. We are expecting a path called as what? About. When I request about, it is going to show that about here. It is going to show the about here. I am not requesting anything. That means it will get me the home directly. That means if user is not requesting anything, what to get? That you have to define by using this. And if user is requesting something like what? About, then it should get about. Suppose user is requesting skills. Okay, let's put another route. This time route path. Route path is skills. If user is requesting skills, then what is the element? Element, I will create a div. I will create an unordered list. I will create a list item. Here I will say HTML. I will keep here CSS. I'll keep here some bootstrap. So, so here we are keeping some options like JavaScript like this. Now important, these will be delivered when anybody is requesting. In the URL, I'm requesting what? Skills. And it will get me that skills and show. So here I will define just roughly I'm adding here. I will put a heading. So my skills. Like this I'm adding. That means when user requests the skills, then it will get my skills. When user requests about, then it will get the about and show. If user is not requesting anything, then it will give the portfolio. Currently, we are designing everything as hard-coded markup. That means at the time he requested, a markup will be created and it will be rendered. No, already I designed. I need to just access it. For example, I want a login. Then how you access the login? Login is already designed. We already created some login screen. Huh? So I want that login to come. Then what we will give? Route. So route path we are expecting as login. And what is the element? Element is this time already there is a component, just bring it. How to define any component? Login is the component. I'm creating the login component. So this is the login component. Okay. You put that login component and make sure that you imported the login component from the components. So now this time, what happens when anybody requests here slash what? Login. Then it should get that login and show the login here. Actually, login is already having some functionality and everything. That entire functionality will come here. That means you are simply requesting and it is accessing. But generally, we don't expect to request from the URL. We want him to click some links and get that. So, how to create the links? We will go to the nav area, and here route links are created by using a link element. So, general actual DOM links are created with anchor element. Anchor element. So, route links are created with link component. Link can have text, have image, anything you can keep inside. I will keep text as suppose about me. So navigation, we will do one thing. We will create like a unordered list item, and a class as list unstyled. And in the list item, we will put an link about me. Like that, we want some links about me, my skills, and here what login. So we created some options like this. Okay. And we will add one more like some home. I'll keep like home. Now what should happen is when user clicks the link home, it should link to refers to which path. Path is slash. Slash is the default which opens automatically. Link to what about? Another link to is what? Skills. That means you have to define the route path name. Link to what? Login. You have to define these route path names. Remember, routing is a very big concept. No hurry. It will take 3-4 sessions to completely learn routing. Lot of doubts will come. Keep all doubts with you only, because by the time you finish routing, you will get clarity on it. That means how this will happen, how that will happen. So many doubts will come initially. So we are going to explore them level by level. This is just beginning. There are so many things in routing to learn. Once I say that routing is finished, then you can have doubts. But you will not have any doubts anymore, because by the time we finish, you will get a clarity on every concept. We generally know what doubts you will get. People who think about navigation, they have certain doubts, how this will happen, that will happen. Everything have a solution here, but level by level we will see. This is just basic of route we are creating. Now see, links are ready. We have those links ready here. Anything you can give for this, as suppose you can add effects for that. What I will do is, let's do one thing. For all these links, for the link, we'll define. So here we are defining link. So link have a class name. We will make it look like a button, BTN and BTN dark. We will make it look like a button. That means now they look like button, right? We can make all these link look like button. So these are all look like button. So we have all these look like button, and W100 looks better for all of them. Okay. So these are all buttons. Just we are having all these buttons. Okay. So my is 2. I will keep that margin y2 for all of them. That keeps good. Okay, now click on about. It will get that about and show. My skills, login, right? Everything comes here. So that means you can navigate and you can view the content here, right? That is, and very important, you should notice here is when you are bringing any component or any content and displaying here, the page is not refreshing. This refresh is not happening. That means without refreshing, the new details are coming into this page. That means without reloading the page, it will add new details into the page. Actually, to design like this, yesterday I showed, we have to use a lot of explicit AJAX. Sometimes freshers, when they come to learn from general level, what happens is they ask, sir, in React, will you teach AJAX? They ask like that. That means generally some people think that AJAX means used for APIs. Means what usually some people think about AJAX is AJAX means their knowledge is about API. AJAX is not API. AJAX is used everywhere, even to design a simple form with partial postbacks. We need a AJAX. To load any content without disturbing other content, we need AJAX. So AJAX is not just about API. And point here is React is using AJAX internally everywhere. Implicitly, React is asynchronous. For every request response, it uses asynchronous only. Inbuilt it is. That's the reason it's not a separate topic. Everywhere internally it is working. It is internally handling. And here you see now, these links are not React links. These are general anchor. So when I click on this tell, what will happen? It will open a phone app. It will open the phone dialer app and you can make calls. And when I click on this email, you know that email app will open. You have mail to and all these options. So this is the navigation. This is the navigation. So here, what are the key points? How do you configure? So syntactically, we have a browser router. Inside the browser router, you need to define the routes. And every route have a route. So route path, route has so many other things we will see, and we have element. We can configure multiple routes. So we have the routes and a browser router. So here, path refers to the request made by client, refers to the request made by client. And here, path renders an element. Element refers to the markup or component to render. When any path is requested, when any path is requested. So we have route and route path, some name, element. Here we have directly the component. That is one way. So we have route path, the name and the element. Here we can directly mark up. Means your JSX fragment you have to write. Yep. So to navigate to specific path, client can make request from URL or using a router link. So or using a router link component. That means HTTP colon localhost. It is 3000 port number and slash some login like this. Or it will be like to login. Here you can put a text or image or any content. Because you know already link can be text or image. So here we want some action to perform on request. So generally we call as you have to configure wildcard routes. You have to configure wildcard routes. Wildcard routes means if user is not requesting anything or if user is requesting something which is not available, that means then what to do? Actually, this Amazon website is there. Amazon is officially built in React. Amazon is a React app. It is completely built in React.js only. Now in this Amazon, see, I want to get some watches related information. Then in the URL directly I can put /watches and it will get me the watches related information. That means I don't need to write anything in search. I entered in the URL, then it will get me that and show. Directly it works. Suppose I said mobiles, then directly it will get me the mobiles and show. Suppose here I am writing some televisions. It will not have any televisions. There is no television. That means it's not possible to give hundreds, thousands of route paths. Few important regularly used, they will keep in the route. Others you have to navigate manually. You can't request directly. That means everything is not in the route. Sometimes you make a spelling mistake or something. Then how we can tell them? For example, see now, in this what we are doing, I am requesting about, then about will come. So here I am requesting, so home, and there is nothing. Because there is no concept like home in our requests. Then how do we tell that? So we call wildcard routes. Wildcard routes are defined like this. We have a route path as slash. Generally, this is used so to render the content when client request is not about any specific. If when client request is not about any specific, we have route path asterisk. This is to render the content when client request is not available. If client request is not available in application. So if client request is not available in application route table, we can say. So if client request is not available in route table, then what should render? Then we have to define by using this asterisk. If it is not about specific, then bring this. And if it is about anything which is not available in the route table, then use this. So we will write here in the route, we will write like route path. If it is asterisk, and what is the element? Element indicates here. Element indicates here. We will put a simple markup. You know, JSX can render anything. React fragments. I am giving an empty fragment. In that, I'll keep a heading. Suppose not found. And we will put a path. So the requested, or say uh, requested path or requested page not found. I will give like this, requested page not found. Now usually, so class name text danger. Okay. Now you see what happens. It shows not found because you are requesting some hope. I'm not requesting anything, then by default this will come, my portfolio. So I will keep this my portfolio also normal only. I don't need all this. I'll just keep left. Now user is requesting about, then it will get about. And user is requesting like some skill, and skill spelling is wrong, then it says not found. And it is correct, then it will get me that and show. So if user is requesting something which is not available, then we can do this. So that is actually done by using wildcard route. We can configure the wildcard route like that. Next, here another point is the frequently asked question in interview is, what is difference between absolute and relative path? So what is difference between absolute and relative path? That is a common question actually. It is not only here, all web applications, this question is very common because everywhere navigation have an absolute path and a relative path, right? Actually, suppose I will show one point. We are having means http colon www amazon.in slash electronics. Now what happens is here we have a link to suppose mobiles and say mobiles. That is one option here. That means when user clicks on mobiles, this mobiles will set in the URL. That mobiles will set in the URL. That means in the URL already what is having electronics. And do you know what will set now? It will set like this. It will set slash mobiles. That means mobiles is added to the existing path, to the existing path. Then this is called as relative path. That is called as relative path. That means in electronics, we have mobiles. That is good. Okay, fine. Suppose now I am writing another link to, we say fashion. So we have fashion. This is a link. That's a link. Now what happens is to this electronics, it will add fashion. That is wrong. Fashion is outside electronics category. It is not electronics inside electronics. It's a separate category. It is separate category. Then you should not write like this. This is also which path? Relative path. Then what you do is link to slash fashion. That's how we have to write. What that slash will do is it will remove the existing path. That means it will remove the existing path. Up to here, existing path is removed and it will add fashion as new path. This is what? Absolute path. I hope you understand. That means you can see in link people writing slash. If they are writing slash before the path name, that means they are trying to define an absolute path. Currently not required. Later, very important. Currently, why not required? We don't have any child routes. Later, we will have child routes. Child routes means a route inside route. When a route inside route, we need to take user outside the route or you need to access within the route. If you want to access within the route, we call them as relative. Outside the route, then we call it as absolute. So that means how you identify that is it an absolute path or a relative path. If it is slash, then it refers to an absolute. Without slash, it is an relative path. That you cannot practice now. In the next example, we can see that, how we can handle that, right? Technically, this is the point. So relative. What is the, means this is itself the answer for this question. Huh? This is the answer for that question. So relative is with regard to existing path. Absolute sets a new path. Right. So this is the basic route. So example is only one. I will give one example here that only one page we design. And what is that page? App.js. In app.js, we created everything. And before that, you make sure that you have installed the router library. Then you can use the browser router routes and all. And whatever components you created, you can link them. Any component that you designed, you can link them. This is a simple example of route. Now we will design one complex example with parent child routes, route parameters, route authentications. So there are more features in that we'll see tomorrow. Right. In tomorrow's session, we will discuss more about routes, how to handle the routes. Okay. Right. Once we finish the routes, we are going to start one project. We are going to build one end-to-end project, and we are going to work on a project, and all other concepts we will implement on that project. We are going to build one project with Redux and all. So tomorrow we will continue that. Okay. Right.